Okay, so gaming the data. What games teach about public health then? It's quite a bit, I think. So let's get started. So I've been working in or around video games for almost all of my adult life. Since I was a kid, I was very drawn to games. Most kids are, right? But somewhere along the way, we get taught that games are only for kids and only for mindless entertainment. I'm here to challenge your thinking on that. I'm here to talk to you about how games can help you with important issues like public health. First of all, let's dispel the notion that games are only for kids. Have you played games on your mobile device? How about online? How about your friends, your family, your colleagues? The average age of a social gamer is 43 years old. 78% of Candy Crush users are of the age of 21 and older to 65. And in 2013, Candy Crush players spent more than $600,000 a day. Candy Crush daily active users are 90 million. Note that these games are dominated by women. That's because, statistically speaking, women tend to play puzzle games, card games, music, dance, educational, and simulation games. In fact, women make up more than half of the gaming community today. We've officially outpaced adolescent boys. So, get the next screen. Okay, Halo and Call of Duty have a huge fan following as well. 20 to 30 million people play each day. More than 100 million copies of Call of Duty have been sold since 2007. That's roughly $4 billion in revenue so far. These types of games are dominated by males. Statistically speaking, men tend to enjoy strategy games, role-playing games, action and fighting games. In general, there are plenty of very popular games that enjoy a huge following and revenue streams from adults, not just kids. Video games are massively popular with people of all ages. In fact, video games are the fastest growing media today. Research firm Newzoo says that in 2015, the video game industry will top $91.5 billion, and by 2017, it'll be $107 billion. Only about half of the world's population is currently online or connected today. And with places like Google and Facebook actively trying to get the rest of the world connected through innovative initiatives, I'm sure that the video game juggernaut will only continue to grow as the rest of the world wakes up to video games. So, games are engaging and they're powerful. But why? Because games tap into our evolutionary core humanity of problem solving and learning. According to Daphne Belvier, a cognitive researcher studying the impact of action video games on our brains, the parts of the brain that are most affected are the parietal cortex, which controls orientation of attention, the frontal lobe that maintains attention, and also the anterior cingulate that controls how we locate, regulate attention, and resolve conflict. It's worth noting that all three of these networks are more efficient with people who sometimes play action games. So games can be great if done in measured doses. And yes, there is a lot of concern around video games and brain development too. And it's true that binging on video games is not good, but that's probably true of just about anything we binge on. Yet the media talks a lot about the negative effects of games, but there's plenty to be excited about too. Games can improve brain plasticity, learning, eyesight, and multitasking skills. Judy Willis, MD, neurologist and educator, says, in a way, the video game model is brilliant. It can feed information to the brain in a way that maximizes learning. So how can we maximize learning? Tom Chatfield gave a great TED Talk on games and suggested 7 ways that games reward brains. What do we mean by reward? It makes you feel good. So what's fascinating about large games like Call of Duty are the amount of time people spend on them, and thus the amount of data these game companies get about people's behavior. For example, after a month of Call of Duty Black Ops being released, it had been played for 600 million hours worldwide. That's 60,000 years. That's a lot of time, and that's a lot of data. So I'm going to share ideas with you that game companies learn from game player behavior data that can help you communicate your public health data in a more effective way. The progress bar. In games, progress bars are cleverly used to give you a sense of control. They let you know how much time you have to invest in a task and how many tasks you can do. And we see progress bars in everyday life now, like our mobile phones or YouTube. For example, if you have a quarter of a tank of gas, you can know that you have enough to go to your favorite grocery store across town and then pick up your son from school before you hit the gas station, right? So progress bars help you own how you're going to finish your day with these little incremental tasks. Okay, so multiple short and long-term objectives. So in games, we have short-term and long-term goals or objectives to keep things interesting. So the idea is that if you had to pick up 100 rocks in a day, that would be tedious and boring. But if you break it up into smaller chunks of 10 intervals, where the first set of 10 rocks you need to find is green, then the next set of 10 rocks you need to find are, say, black, then the third set of rocks you have to find is orange. After uncovering 5 of these 10 orange rocks, you might find flower seeds and a note that says, plant these seeds to build 5 flower patches while you pick more rocks. So basically, we add this objective while picking up the 100 rocks and continue until all 100 rocks are picked up. If you can imagine that if you had to do this tedious task of 100 rocks without having these shorter objectives, that it would become just exhausting. But being able to do something like plant some flowers, or it doesn't have to be like seeds, it could be stacking some of the 10 rocks to create like a little castle or something. The idea is creating shorter term and long term objectives together in order to meet that longer term goal. So you reward every effort. Okay, you get credit for trying, for all your efforts, for all that you give to the game. You need to give back to the user. Some of the most successful games do this, like Candy Crush. Candy Crush has mastered the idea of rewarding every effort. You don't want to punish, but you want to encourage and reinforce. So that's an important task when you're dealing with rewarding every effort. Make sure that people don't feel bad. They need to walk away from the game feeling good, because then they'll come right back, or they'll just continue to play and play, just like with Candy Crush. Okay, so rapid, frequent, and clear feedback. That could not be more important. You want to be able to say things like awesome, super, words that pop up and keep people going as they see this and they're picking their bubbles, or in Candy Crush, they're picking their candy. Animated bursts, like just when you see little stars or little any kind of little things that you see online, little maybe animals or something that you say, hey, that's really great what you're doing. So that's the kind of stuff we want to do, including sound. Sound is really important. It's a ching ching ding ding. All those little sounds are really a rapid feedback, and it's clear feedback to the user who's listening. So all of these things, visuals and audio, are very important. So this is something that's important with like climate change. Climate change has taken a long time to get people to notice it or interested in it, because we didn't have that clear feedback right in the beginning. So we want to keep that feedback going, like we're seeing now. We see that there's a California drought, there's been storms. This kind of stuff made people pay attention and listen. So the clear, rapid feedback, that keeps people learning and growing and understanding. Okay, the element of uncertainty. People love this feeling of uncertainty. It's exciting. When we don't predict things as we thought, it arouses us to want to go back and figure it out. That moment of surprise of, oh wait, that's not what I expected, is associated with the neurotransmitter that's associated with learning called dopamine. And dopamine is associated with reward-seeking behavior. So this image here is an image from the game Rust. It's an online multiplayer-centric survival game. It has a very loyal, hardcore following, and as you can tell from the picture, it's a very spooky and scary feeling as you go through. And it's a really tough game to play, but people love that feeling so much that they keep doing it. They keep pushing forward because they love the element of uncertainty. Again, it's a big thing. It's an ebbs and flows. It releases dopamine, and it gets people more interested to seek that reward-seeking behavior. So, windows of enhanced attention. So this one's a really big one too. So when dopamine is released, some interesting things happen that can be leveraged. You get these windows of enhanced attention. During these moments of enhanced attention, our memory gets sharper and learning becomes more engaged. Also, confidence goes up and people are encouraged to try new things and more things. In this case, this is an image from Red Dead Redemption. It's an open world game similar to Grand Theft Auto, but in a Wild West setting. And you could see here with the guys, can you imagine playing these cards and then suddenly someone draws a gun and everybody jumps up. It's a surprise, it's an emerald surprise. And that enhanced attention, obviously, that helps our survival as a species, being able to click back to, wow, there's something really scary going on here. I have to pay attention. And you remember better. So these memories get stuck in your mind, and this is a good principle to use when you're dealing with public data or anything of that sort. Okay. So, other players, above all else, people are most engaged and motivated by other people. We're naturally interested in competitive and or cooperative play, as those traits helped our human survival and made us thrive. So making your data something that engages people with other people will get it more attention. Game mechanics like leaderboards. You can challenge your friends to score higher than you, or in-game messaging. You can chat with your friends, talk to them about like how you're winning or how they're winning. Trash talk is a lot of what people talk about. Cooperative play. So joining forces to defeat the Lich King. Whatever these things are where you cooperate with somebody to defeat the dragon, or whatever it is you're doing, is gets people engaged because of this social element. The social element is a huge deal. And again, that's something I can't emphasize enough, is how much people enjoy that. And this image here is from Sony's Home. It's a virtual social hub for PlayStation 3 players. And as you can see, they're walking around. It's an avatar of the players. And they walk around and chat with each other. And those little chat windows that you see are how they're chatting to each other about the things that they're talking about about the game or about like every day. But these are the kinds of things that people really enjoy. Okay, so remission. So I've given you a lot of information about games, and now I'd like to show you some examples of serious games. Serious games is the commonly known name for games that are designed for a primary purpose other than just pure entertainment. So Remission 2 is the game that is out now and is the sequel to the popular Remission game. So what you do is you drop bombs on cancer cells to destroy them. And then once you've played several levels, you can still pick other parts of the body where the cancer might be in, like your lymph nodes, like brain cancer, any part of the body. And what this has done, and the reason why it was successful, is because it gave people a sense of power and control with the situation that they were otherwise powerless to control. So these sorts of things these games like this are really popular with that. And if you go to hopelab.org, there's more games like this, and I've also included some links for everybody to play to get a sense of how we could use these game principles for things like this remission. Again, it was hugely popular, and it did really well for the people who actually were dealing with cancer, young people and older people alike. Okay, Super Better. Okay, Super Better is a tool created by game designers and backed by science to help build personal resilience, the ability to stay strong, motivated, and optimistic even in the face of difficult challenges. One of the main faces of this game is Jane McGonigal. She suffered severe head trauma and was basically incapacitated and feeling powerless and depressed. As a game designer, she decided to use her skills to make herself feel better, super better. So what this game does is it challenges you to do tasks that are healthy for you in some way, like drinking enough water during the day or walking enough, running. You can get points for everything you do, the everyday things that you do. And as you can see in this screenshot, there are boosts and quests, and the quests are the ones that you assign, such as, like I said, drinking water or walking. And so you can make it customized to you. There's a to-do list that you put, and then once you start playing the game, this game will assign these quests, these boosts to each goal and each level that you get to, and you get points. So she basically gamified how to get better, super better. Okay, Zombies Run. Zombies Run is a game that tells a narrative story about living in a zombie world. You have a base camp where you collect items as you run, and you have to upgrade and improve your camp. This was a hugely popular game as well, and a surprise to a lot of people. It was so popular that there are events now where people around the country will meet up with this app, come together to do a marathon, and then there's actors that come there, dress up as zombies, makeup and everything, and will surprise them and chase them and pop out of places in order to give them the full experience of a zombies run. So this has become, they've moved it to like a real life situation, obviously with the actors, and it's fun, and people have had a great time, and again, lends to the idea that social is a really big deal and really important, and just how people love to play games. Okay, so I want to go over some DIY ideas. So QuizUp is a very popular game that takes questions about everyday topics and makes a quiz from them that you play against other people. There's a timer to add suspense and unpredictability and uncertainty to the game, and you are matched up against another person. That person can be a friend or a random person in the world. I could see the other person I've played against make their move, and if they do it ahead of me, then I'll get that sense of, oh man, and so people get really excited, people get really into it. It gives great feedback with the timer and colors that they use to show if you get something right or wrong. The sound effects, really well done in that case too, a lot like if you were playing Jeopardy or something of that nature. And it's also really easy to jump in and out of the game. So that barrier of entry being removed is another really important thing. If people can just get in and out of an app, that's important, because that is going to bring you more success. The user experience and the user flow are all really important things for part of your game. So I recommend trying this game out to get a sense of how you can take everyday topics and make an engaging game from it. Because again, this uses everyday topics, as you can see in this screenshot. Keep food from spoiling. Control calories, make food taste good. What is the purpose of a vitamin? If I had to take this test in a regular school setting, I might find this really exhausting and I'd forget. But because it's a game, I'm playing with someone, and as you can see in the screenshot, there's a picture of me, and then the other person didn't put a picture, but it makes you feel like you're really in this game where you have to be ready to go and move and jump, because it's kind of fast-paced. And again, it's making this game out of something that's completely everyday, and there are tons of topics, thousands of topics at this point. And it was launched in 2013, and it was the fastest growing iPhone app in history. In 2014, it surpassed 20 million users. It's extremely successful, and it's successful because it uses a lot of the principles that I've been talking about. Okay, so the evolution of health in games and technology. As you can see, there's this is the Wii, And this is actually someone who's playing the game. It was successful with people who were in older demographics. So launched in the holiday season of 2006, the original Wii was much more successful than in many in the gaming industry at the time thought it would be. It was really surprising. This system ended up being successful with a demographic that wasn't associated with games at the time. Not just the older demographic, but women. Women were considered, especially as I came through the game industry, sort of the holy grail of people that they were trying to get into playing games. And here we had uncovered that formula. So people in the games industry would hear about older people playing games. And I recall this one time, I had a colleague of mine come into work, and he said, my girlfriend hates games. And now she and her friends are going to have a Wii party and drink margaritas instead of going out. What's happening? And we all laughed because we all didn't exactly know what was happening, but we knew something big was happening. And what was happening actually was the beginning of the social gamer. People were up on their feet, playing games, getting exercise by mimicking the moves of baseball, tennis, bowling. It was a phenomenon, and obviously something that carried over into Facebook and beyond. Okay, so now we have health bands, which many of you have probably seen, wearable fitness bands, as they're known, or wearable fitness technology. So the Fitbit and the Nike Fuel Band. Both of these collected data. You just put it on your wrist, and you can walk around with it, take a shower with it, sleep with it, and it would collect data on all those little things you did, including sleep, and letting you know if you slept through the night or if you only slept for a little bit. So it was able to let you track your health during a day and the night. It was the first evolution of real wearable tech, and it did really well. It's not as popular as it was, and I think it's because the interface wasn't as intuitive as it could have been when trying to get all your stats together and such. But people still really use it, and again, it was our first incarnation of the wearable fitness bands and wearable fitness technology. So, the next step in wearable tech. This has huge potential for health-related matters. What you're looking at right now is the Apple Watch. It just got released recently, and it's already gotten a lot of popularity and attention from the press even before, but it's starting to do really well even now that it's just gone on sale recently. And it has apps like you would expect to have on your phone to do with health-related apps, running apps, walking apps, exercise apps, anything like that to do with health. But it has some extra features in it that are innovative, such as being able to tap on the screen, and if your friend has a watch, they could feel that tap as well. So let's say you want to go for a run, but you're feeling kind of sluggish, but you're supposed to meet your friend for a run, right? And then you suddenly feel this tap on your wrist, and you look down, and it's your friend saying, "We gotta go." And you could also draw. It's a simple little drawings, but you can use your finger to make little drawings like question mark, maybe little running feet or little running guy. And so that way you feel the tap and you look down and your friend's like creating this little picture of, you got to start running now, we got to go. And you're thinking, oh, I don't really want to. But then they keep tapping, tap, 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 tap. So you could see it's like as if your friend is there in the room with you. So this is a different sense than let's say like texts or phone calls, because now you're actually feeling someone tapping you when they're tapping from their phone. You can also send heart rates, and so that's kind of like a sense of intimacy. I'm in a hurry, I'm running, I'm going really fast, and you're not running with me, and you should have run, and look at all the calories I'm burning. So it's very interactive and engaging. For instance, there's going to be an app called Hello Heart, and it's a blood pressure monitor and heart health companion app. And it's a good one for the watch, as it can record and upload vital signs right from your wrist. More than 100 million Americans have some type of a heart condition. This app could make it easy for them to monitor those conditions in real time, rather than having to go into a doctor's office or pharmacy to get that information. So you can see how amazing this is. And it also lets you send that kind of information to your doctor's watch or his app that he may have on his iPhone, but it can measure these measurements of your health so that your doctor can see it in almost real time. It's going to be that kind of a quick latency. So it's really exciting, and it's what I would say is the next evolution in wearable tech. So as I said, this is really great technology though, and there's so many places in which this can go and where you can create some really innovative ideas in order to share data. So, okay, moving on. Okay, so making data more effective and interesting. When thinking about game principles for your data, keep a few things in mind. So the target audience. You want to know your audience. If it's mostly women, look to use puzzle games, card games, music dance, educational and simulation games. If it's a male audience, then focus on strategy games, role-playing games, action, and fighting games. Your data story. So know the story that your data is telling. Those of you who have data and read through your data get a sense of what it is that the story is trying to say, what this data is telling you about the health of Americans, about the cleanliness in hospitals. So once you get all that data, you have a sense of what it is that you want to tell, and just really narrow it down so that you can move on to creating visuals. So when you create visuals, you want to do mood boards, storyboards, wireframes, really anything that will help you understand your game experience. So will help you put this story that you have in your mind about the data that you received to create this more engaging experience. So whatever you need to do, I say that to people, visuals, note-taking, all of it together is what you want to do to create something that could be really, really incredible. And then you want to design this experience. And in games, we create what's called a game design doc. It's commonly called a GDD. And it includes all visuals, flowcharts, etc. on the game to be produced. So anything you have about it, you put notes in there, and you use that as sort of your master document from which you produce something. So you want to take special care to feel that the progression of your experience flows well. Use the principles I spoke about earlier in this presentation to create a more engaging experience. So games are, as we've been talking about, powerful, and they're a powerful teaching and communication tool. These days, you can self-publish on mobile, PC, or tablets and the aforementioned Apple Watch. Technology keeps moving at a brisk pace, and millennials are entering the workforce with the life brought up on connectivity and gaming principles. Gen Xers have absorbed technology, and baby boomers have at least reluctantly accepted it. I even expect boomers that haven't fully embraced it yet to at least do so in the future with practical uses like medical. Medical can be much more, not just efficient, but economic when we use these tools that we have with technology to send, as I said before, information to your doctor, or maybe even to a family member, if that's pertinent, so that they can contact doctors or whatever, instead of the person who's wearing the technology. But it's this technology that's going to get us into that next step, and again is going to get those boomers even more interested in this technology. And these principles of so many of these sorts of gadgets are really based on many of these gaming principles that we've had for years now. So the world keeps getting smaller with connectivity, therefore making it easier to teach and communicate with each other online. Public health can gain a lot from insights in gaming, and I hope I've been able to inspire you to use some gaming techniques to communicate and teach your health data to the public. Thank you.